Alright guys, so in today's video we're going to take some time to go over some recent news and information regarding some upcoming PlayStation 4 exclusives that I know many of you are very excited for, and this information, most of it anyway, does come out of TGS, and so I wanted to just take some time here to go over it. It's not huge information, although I would say it is significant. It's not like breaking news per se, but it is the type of information that I think a lot of you will be interested in, and a lot of you are going to probably have something to say about it as well. I know I have a few things I want to say about it, at least in regards to some of this news, but we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to be talking about Nioh 2, and we're also going to be talking about the upcoming PlayStation 1 classic remake, Medieval. So if you're looking forward to that, stick around for the video. But getting into Final Fantasy VII Remake here, apparently there is going to be a classic turn-based option for people who want that, but there are going to be some caveats as well, so it's not going to be exactly the way some people are thinking it's going to be. But before going over this, we do have to acknowledge here that Final Fantasy VII Remake is easily one of the most anticipated PlayStation 4 exclusives. It's actually kind of insane just how excited people are for this game, but when you think about it, it's actually not that far-fetched, because Final Fantasy VII is the type of game that a lot of people look back on and say, this is the game that got me into gaming. This is the game that really changed my perspective on how I view gaming and what video games could be, and there's just a lot of people who look at Final Fantasy VII as the best game they've ever played. It's their favorite game of all time, and so it's totally understandable why the hype for this game is on another level. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because it seems like everything that Square Enix has done up until this point has been really good and really well received by fans. Now, I'm sure there are some people who are not happy with it, but overall, the feeling I'm getting based off of what people are saying, what I'm hearing, the comments I'm seeing people leave, just how many views these videos get, in terms of when they're uploaded on the PlayStation's official channel and when there's new trailers. It's just insane. People are incredibly excited for this. And so now we know there is going to be somewhat of a turn-based combat option for people who are looking forward to that. So the article here says that if your excitement for Final Fantasy VII Remake was soured when it was announced that the combat would be real-time rather than turn-based, then you may be in luck. Square Enix announced at a TGS 2019 panel that alongside the standard battle system, a classic mode would be available for players who prefer the menu-based intricacies of the 1997 original, but it's probably not quite what you're looking for. As described in a series of tweets on Twitter, Classic mode is pitched as a recreation. In standard modes, the ATB gauge fills up by repeatedly attacking your enemy, but in Classic mode, this aspect of gameplay is handled automatically. The player does not need to do anything, and the character fights automatically, charging up their ATB gauge. Essentially, the game is going to carry out standard attacks and movement for you while the player waits on the ATB gauge to fill up, at which point a menu of commands appears, allowing you to select special attacks, magic, or items. So this, I think, is going to be some really interesting news for people who are looking forward to this, because we do have to understand that Final Fantasy VII originally was a turn-based game, right? It was turn-based combat, and now Square Enix has made the decision that they're going to go and transition from turn-based combat to real-time combat, which for me personally has me pretty excited. I'm not the biggest fan of turn-based combat, and I'm also not the biggest Final Fantasy fan, if I'm being honest. I never really got into the series, but the thing about Final Fantasy VII Remake that actually has me very interested is the fact that they're changing up the combat. So for people who are wanting that turn-based option, now because I'm not too familiar with how it all works, this does sound to me that it's not going to be exactly what people were hoping for, but it does seem nice that Square Enix is going out of their way to try to provide an option for those who really want to try to hone in on that classic gameplay experience. Now, again, for me, I'm looking more forward to experiencing this game with the real-time combat. I think it looks really good based off of everything I've seen so far, and a lot of other people seem to be very excited about it as well. I think this is one of the areas where Square Enix has proven that they're doing a very good job in how they're handling this remake, because there's so many things that could have went wrong taking a classic game like this that is known for its turn-based combat and just deciding we're going to do real-time combat all of a sudden. But again, it seems like they're handling it really well. So I want you guys to let me know down below what you think about this. If you're excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake, does this news excite you? Does what we just read here and what we went over, does that sound like an option in how you're going to play it, or does it sound like it's not really going to do a very good job at really recreating that classic turn-based feel that you've come to expect from Final Fantasy VII? It's going to be very interested to see what you guys have to say there. Moving on from that, though, I want to take a little bit of time here to talk about Nioh 2. We're going to be talking about the release date, which apparently is slated for early 2020. Now, we don't have an exact release date yet, but that is the window we are given. So it's going to be coming out relatively soon. Early next year, we can look forward to it. But there is going to be an open beta that starts very soon, and the developer also took some time to talk about the difficulty of Nioh 2, which I think people will be interested in, because from what I hear, Nioh, which I haven't played yet, and I really do want to play it, it's going to be one of the games I play hopefully in the coming months whenever I don't feel completely overwhelmed with the amount of games I have to play. But it is a game I really want to play, not only because I hear it's very much like Dark Souls, but I like games that offer a challenge, and I've heard that Nioh is incredibly difficult. Now, as somebody who's completed Bloodborne and all of the Dark Souls games, I'm going to be interested to see just how difficult it ends up being, and that's also what made me interested in this news about Nioh 2's difficulty options and how there pretty much won't be any. It says that if you're itching to get your hands on the next Nioh game, it'll actually be sooner rather than later. There is good news. Team Ninja has confirmed an open beta for the upcoming action RPG that will launch in early November on PlayStation 4. It says that the open beta will be available on the PlayStation Store from November 1st to November 10th. So that's something that I may actually try. I don't know if I want to, though, because I definitely want to play the first one before playing the sequel, and I'm sure there's going to be some major improvements made with the sequel, so I don't want to have my first time playing this game be on the sequel and then try to go back to the first one, and it just doesn't feel as good, if you guys understand what I'm saying. But for anybody who is interested in this, it will be available from November 1st to November 10th. And it says that while Team Ninja also showcased new Nioh 2 gameplay at Tokyo Game Show, the producer reportedly confirmed in a behind-closed-doors TGS presentation hosted by Sony Interactive Entertainment that while there will be new multiplayer modes, there will not be an easy setting, and the difficulty will stack with the more players you have to help you out. So the producer went on to say that the game is a so-called mesocore game, so we want the difficulty to be the same for everyone, even if you may be able to see people beat the bosses on YouTube and that sort of stuff. Yet we do have things to help out players, for example, the Benevolent Graves and 3-player multiplayer, and we do think those things will be a big helping hand for people to beat the game. So I just couldn't help but find this very interesting, simply because it's there's like this, it's not a trend, right? But there are certain developers, such as Team Ninja here, but as well as From Software, where the games they're making, they're going to be difficult, and they're not going to bend on that one. They're not going to sway from that, and I can respect that, because what they're doing is saying that not everybody's going to be able to beat this game. Not everybody's going to even be able to enjoy the game, because if you're not good enough to complete it or to progress, it's just not going to be for you. And I have to give a little bit of credit there, because they're taking a stance where, like, the easier thing to do would be to offer a bunch of different options. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with games that offer multiple difficulty options, like a very easy mode or anything like that. But I also do respect developers that say, this is how we want our game to be. This is how we want our game to play, right? Like, this is just how difficult we want it to be, and in order to complete it, you actually need to have skill. You need to learn the game. You need to respect the game's mechanics and learn them in and out if you want to progress and complete the game. I can appreciate that. It can become incredibly infuriating at times, but that's all part of it. So basically what this developer is saying, what the producer here is saying, is that, listen, if you're having a struggle with this game's difficulty, there is no easy option here. The only other option you have to help you complete it is through multiplayer, which is nice, because there are games that do have this type of difficulty, like I believe Sekiro earlier this year, where it's just such a difficult game, but that game doesn't even offer a multiplayer option, so you have to do it on your own. In this case, it seems like people will be able to, ask for help through multiplayer, which I will admit, when playing Bloodborne as well as the Dark Souls games, there were times where I was having an incredibly tough time getting through some bosses, and I did have to, bring in some other players through multiplayer to help me get through certain areas. So I thought you guys would be interested in this news. I know I'm excited for Nioh 2. I hope I will be able to play it at launch. I hope I'll be able to play the first game before that and complete all the other games I want to play. There's just too many games to play. Not a bad problem to have, though. But the final piece of information we're going to be going over here, and this isn't anything too significant, but it really just has to do with PlayStation's upcoming Medieval remake, and apparently how they've been showing off a lot of footage of this game, and it's been impressing people. Now, I haven't played the first game, but everything I'm hearing is that the developers, I don't actually know the name of the developers that are working on this, but everybody's saying that they're doing an incredible job in remaking this game, where they're keeping it very true to the original, but taking liberties in some areas to really make it seem like more of a modern day game. And to me, that's exciting. I think I am going to give Medieval a try, because again, I've never played it. I did have a PS1 way back when, but I don't even remember seeing this game. I didn't know about the game. I was really young at the time. And so it would be interesting, in my opinion, to pick up a game that was a PlayStation 1 game and just seeing how it feels. Even though it is a remake, I just want to know if it's going to feel like a super old game. Is it going to feel more modern? Like, it reminds me of playing Shadow of the Colossus recently, where I was shocked that it was a PlayStation 2 game. There were some areas of the game that you could definitely tell this was an older game, but in many other areas, because it was a remake and it was done so well, I was just like, this feels like a modern game. Like, this is kind of crazy. So I'm wondering if the same thing will happen with Medieval. Also, it just looks like a fun game. I heard it can be pretty difficult, which is interesting to me. Again, talking about difficulty in games, I heard that Medieval was a particularly difficult game. At least that's what I've heard. And they're going to try to retain that with this remake. So I may give it a shot. But everything I'm hearing so far about it, with the demos and the gameplay segments they're showing, people who are fans of the original are saying that this is looking to be a really good remake. So yeah, just wanted to add that here at the end of the video. But that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you found it helpful, or if you did enjoy it, be sure to leave it a like. Really helps it out, lets me know you guys are enjoying the content. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to also share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.